Okay, so Paul, we typically hear a person's highlight reel. Are you willing to share about a current unpretty part of your life? Whether it's something that sucks, grief, what is currently an unpretty part of your life?
Oh, an unpretty part of your life. That's a great question. and we should preface the fact that you didn't give me any of these questions ahead of time.
None of
This
them.
is just all raw, unfiltered, BTH right now. So
Here we go.
I tell you, there are a few things that I'm working on in my role as mayor, and I deal with a lot of people's opinions, a lot of opinions.
Not shocking at
Yeah,
all.
and I have a lot of anger towards people that
Yeah.
I have to keep under control, and sometimes I do a poor job of that because when people just berate you and poke you and make accusations about you, sometimes it's hard not to punch down. And, in the last 3 or 4 months, I can think of several times when I punched down.
Whoa.
And I wish I hadn't,
Yeah.
It feels good in the moment. It's like, oh, this feels good. You know what? I'm going to swing back. And then after I did, I'm like, why did I do that? That just lowered me to their level.
Yeah.
It didn't make the situation any better. So that's a low light for me. That's something I'm working on because I'm a fighter. I'm a hard charger.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn in my work and my job. Sometimes you just have to take it and say, hey, I'm just going to take this. And you feel like, Mike Tyson's got you on the ropes and you're just, and you're just like, okay, please, Mike, can I have another? And you can't put your gloves up. You just take it. So
I'm drilling down on that just because you're speaking to something I'm trying to figure out. Has the anger always been there? Like, would you say that's been something that you've had even when you were at Click Rain in business? So that's question number one. And maybe question number two, have you found something to do with it? Like, because I just being honest, over the last 4 or 5 years, anger's been my thing too.
Yeah.
And it's really silent inside of me. Like, you don't see it, but it's definitely there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say I've always been a little bit of a spicy guy. I have a little bit of a anger streak in me. I think a lot of guys struggle with that.
Yeah.
What has helped me though is I heard Rick Warren say this once, or it was through a sermon or podcast or something, and he said, when I stopped asking of someone what's wrong with you and moved to what happened to you, and so we start looking at people like that, like, what happened to you that you're so angry at me when I'm just the mayor. I'm doing this job because I love this community. So I don't think you're mad at me. There's something deeper there, or there's something that happened to you, or there's something in your DNA that just makes you a mad person, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So when I flip the question, like, what is wrong with you? Because lots of times, what's wrong with that jerk? And you want to go at them, and it's
Oh
like,
my gosh.
but what happened to that jerk? And so that has been very good for me. My patience is much, much greater when I start like overlaying that question over difficult people, difficult circumstances.
Hey crew, it's Adam from The Conversation. I'm so glad that you've tuned in to this episode. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you go and click the subscribe button, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on Pando, so you don't miss a single episode of The Conversation. Also, I need to give a huge shout out to these partners. These partners help make this episode of The Conversation possible. They're organizations that I know and trust that I want you to know about as well. Have a great rest of your day.